What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Xeno Martinez here, back again with another video, and today we got something special for y'all. You see, with the introduction of Season 6 and its foreshadowing of a focus on the 4th Great Ninja War, I thought it would be appropriate to introduce raids to Shinobi Striker. Now, if you don't know, raids are a type of mission typically found in MMORPGs where a large group of players band together to attempt to defeat a boss. In seasons 3 or 4, I believe it was data mined that there was a 5-village event that has yet to be revealed in the game. And Shinobi Striker is in desperate need of more PvE game modes. I mean, the VR missions have not been updated since the release of the game, which gives experienced players less incentive to play them and often pushes inexperienced players to play online, leading to unbalanced teams. Also, the community has been asking for new game modes for a long time, and this right here just fits the theme for Season 6 like a glove. Now, let me show you how combining the unreleased 5-village event and raids could breathe new life into Naruto to Boruto Shinobi Striker. This new game mode will take place during the assault on the Ten Tails after the introduction of the 4 reanimated Hokages to the Shinobi War. How this event will work is that there will be 5 competing teams of 4 players representing each of the 5 hidden Shinobi villages. These villages will be competing for points monthly to determine who is the strongest among them. Your village will be determined by the village you chose when starting the game, but you do have the option to change your village at any time. Please keep in mind that changing your village mid-season will reset your accumulated points for yourself only, meaning that any points obtained under a village banner will remain with that village and cannot be transferred. When playing with friends, the host village will be the banner that you will play under, but any accumulated points by you will be sent to your village and not your host. That is, of course, assuming that the 2 of you are from opposing villages. This event will last the entirety of Season 6, therefore about 6 to 8 months in total. Each month, the village with the most points will be chosen as that month's winner and receive special rewards such as 200 esoteric scrolls and a special title like the 4th Great Ninja War 10 Tails Raid Champion, number 1. Or 2 or 3 depending on the month in which your village won. Players will also be able to see their village's overall ranking, which can provide them with an opportunity to think about whether they should push harder for the following month's win or switch villages because theirs is just not performing well. At the end of the season, the village with the most monthly wins will be rewarded with 500 esoteric scrolls, while the other competing villages only get 300. At the start of each raid, your team will be spawned in one of 5 locations on the map, but keep in mind that your village's location is randomized. There are 2 maps for this game mode, and both maps take place when the 4 reanimated Hokages have temporarily sealed the 10 Tails and it has summoned its Fishin monsters to protect itself from the incoming assault. The first map shown here is more of a variation of the assault shown in the anime. If you look carefully at the map, you can see that there are red dots as well as blue lines spread throughout the map. Those are the barrier points separating you from both the opposing teams and the Ten Tails. For the barrier to be broken and the map to be opened for all players, one of the 5 teams must clear all the enemies in the first 2 phases of the raid. This will activate a cutscene where the Ten Tails forcibly uses its power to destroy all the barriers on the battlefield. The first team to clear all enemies and reach the 10 Tails will receive a 20% boost to all stats for 2 minutes, placing them at a major advantage. Once the map is open though, players will have the option to push for the 10 Tails or turn around to help opposing teams struggling to catch up. Either decision can have an impact on the raid, as ignoring opposing teams and the enemies they're facing will summon more monsters to the battlefield, potentially placing all players at a disadvantage. Pushing for the 10 tails though could prove beneficial, as its attention will be focused on the players in its immediate vicinity and not the remaining players fighting in the distance. The second map for this game mode is a little closer to the original Assault featured in the anime, where all players have been given entry into the barrier by Hashirama's clones. Like the first map, all teams will be spawned in 5 of the locations shown on the map, and those locations will be randomized. Unlike the first map though, teams will not be separated by barriers, meaning that players can choose to bypass enemies in the first 2 phases in order to receive the 20% boost in stats for their team. Doing this, of course, will place all players on the battlefield at a major disadvantage due to the influx of enemies being summoned to protect the 10 tails. This strat, of course, could be beneficial to players who feel confident in their team's ability to take out the incoming monsters, as well as survive against the 10 tails' retaliatory tactics. Please keep in mind that the 10 tails will remain sealed by the barrier until teams have entered its area. Reaching the 10 tails will activate a cutscene where the 10 tails forcibly breaks free of its seals and begins attacking players both in its immediate vicinity as well as those fighting in the distance, a different response from the first map. For this game mode, players will be given 30 minutes to complete the raid, but will not fail if they are unable to defeat the 10 tails in time. Instead, players will receive a 5% point penalty for every minute that they go over the timer. Extending into overtime will also activate a spam-like scroll buff for all players on the battlefield and will remain in effect for 2 minutes. Keep in mind that this buff can be removed by the ninjutsu like super light-weighted boulder jutsu or even space-time hop substitution. As I mentioned earlier, the raid mode for the 10 tails is a variation of the battle featured in the anime, meaning that players will be responsible for defeating the 10 tails, but its absorption by Obito will not be featured in this game mode whatsoever. Facing off against him would be an amazing add-on for sure, but not one that we're going to be exploring in this video. When it comes to facing the 10 tails though, let's be real. It is not going to be an easy task and players are going to die a lot. But if a player does die on the battlefield, they do have the option to freely change their class and are able to choose from among the 16 available slots in Sakura's Inn. This is especially important if players are finding that certain classes are needed and you have one of them available in your customizable slot. Players can also use their deaths to transition from playing as their custom character to one of the available cast characters and vice versa, a feature that is currently not available in the game. How you accumulate points is dependent on your performance throughout the raid. Points are broken down into 3 categories: damage, defense, and healing. Although these categories are self-explanatory, it is important to remember that some ninjutsu can fall into more than one of these categories, and players will receive points for all those relevant to their ninjutsu. For example, secret techniques that provide a debuff to enemies allow players to receive points based on the number of enemies killed, damage done, and damage negated while they are active, encouraging players to run secret techniques like Kodo, insect jamming, or hidden mist. This accumulation of points also means that players who use ninjutsu and secret techniques that provide map-wide buffs like Kurama Link Mode, Mind Transmission Palm Sage, or Long Distance Healing can receive points for buffing not only their team, but all players on the battlefield. Therefore, encouraging players to think strategically about how to ensure they are receiving buffs for helping themselves as well as others, including opposing teams. Throughout the match, a point system can be seen in the upper left-hand corner of the screen. Players can choose to hide that point system or focus it on one of the 3 categories: damage done, damage received, and support. Paying close attention to your point accumulation is extremely important because once players have reached the 10 tails and gotten its health bar to 30% or less, the top players for each category will be temporarily given the title of 4th Great Ninja War Sannin. This title provides players with the ability to call upon one of the 3 Sannin summonings to help them in battle. Summoning them to the battlefield would also provide the following buffs. At the end of the match, a screen will show the overall points for both your team and all opposing teams. This screen will also highlight who were the MVPs of the match. As ranges, attackers, and combat healers fall under the DPS category, there will be event titles allotted to each role, and the top damaging players for each class will receive MVP for that match. At the end of each month, the top players for each category of each village will receive a special title, such as 4th Great Ninja War Cloud Village Medic number 1. When loading into a match, you will be able to see all the players representing their villages as well as what classes they will be using at the start of the match. This will provide you with an opportunity to determine if you should switch classes for one that is missing or investigate who may be competitors for your MVP title. As combat healers have their own MVP position as well as raid battle title, they will have a designated symbol separating them from support type healers. This is an important distinction to make as we all know the pain of solo queuing with healers not running heals due to a focus on fighting over providing support to their team. Adding a raid battle game mode to Naruto to Boruto Shinobi Striker would easily breathe new life into the game. As a team-based game, Shinobi Striker unfortunately lacks PvE game modes that allow newer players to gain experience and work with others in a non-PvP setting. The available VR missions have not been updated since the release of the game, giving experienced players less incentive to return. This lack of PvE content and long wait times for VR mission often forces inexperienced players to play online, leading to unbalanced teams typically going up against 4 stacks of experienced players. Adding this game mode would not only help to address some of these issues, but also inspire content creators to come up with strategies for helping newer or inexperienced players compete for those MVP titles or find the most optimal builds for working as a team or lobby. It would also inspire players invested in their created characters to come up with unique builds relevant to their character's lore, or provide players in clans or communities a unique opportunity to collectively work together towards a goal. It is no lie that Shinobi Striker has needed more diversified content for a long time. But with the last season and the introduction of so many positive changes, I believe that we are finally on the right path. And it is my hope that with the launch of Season 6, they will finally reveal what is the 5 Village event. And if it is anything like this, I am so here for it. But enough about me. What are your thoughts on this video? And what raid bosses or game modes would you love to see added to Naruto to Boruto Shinobi Striker? And of course, if you like this video, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button, turn on those notifications, and remind everyone that it's hard out here, but your boy wouldn't know. Period.